Good afternoon. My name is Melvin Carter. I'm the proud mayor of the city of St. Paul. I did notice a stark discrepancy between my welcome and their welcome. And it is my pleasure to serve as this afternoon's MC for the 2024 St. Paul City Council inauguration. I'd like to first thank the Capital City Wind Ensemble for sharing their delightful talents with us. I'd like to boast that in addition to being capable and talented musicians, each member of our ensemble is also a dedicated employee of the city of St. Paul. Thank you all for your services to this amazing city. Now I would like to invite you to stand if you are able in recognition of tonight's color guard and the presentation of the colors. I'd like to thank the members of the St. Paul Police Department and the St. Paul Fire Department for serving as our honor guard today. The Progressive Baptist Church was formed in 1992 by Reverend Dr. Earl F. Miller. Today, the church is led by the Reverend's youngest son, Reverend Melvin G. Miller. Every weekend, the church choir fills the chapel with the joyful sounds of worship. It is my honor to welcome to the stage choir vocalists and esteemed members of this congregation, Miss Angela Stewart and Mr. Douglas Hill, who will lead a rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing, our Black national anthem.
Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over the way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our wearies, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought
and his 6 children, as well as his wife, Curlor, in the hospital. 4 of those children tragically have passed. 2 more children, and Curlor, who just a few years ago incidentally was an intern in our mayor's office, remain in a fight for their lives. Please join me in a moment of silence for the Vang family. I am grateful for the strength and courage of our St. Paul firefighters, our police officers, paramedics, and first responders. It is often stated and still true that they are the heroes who race in to help when everyone else is racing out. Please consider making a contribution to the family's GoFundMe campaign to help ease the stress that they are facing in the face of a hard road ahead. And as Pacheng has stated multiple times, please make sure that you are rehearsing your fire preparedness plan in your home as well. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage a trailblazer in her own right, someone who I have gotten to know for a very long time, first as my big sister. You'll notice the family resemblance when she comes out. But as someone who has served as a leader in this state for a very long time, as a Minneapolis school board member, as a Minnesota state representative, and today as Minnesota's lieutenant governor. That's my lieutenant governor and yours, Peggy Flanagan.
Well, thank you to my big brother, my older brother, who just had a birthday, Mayor Carter. Buju, Peggy Flanagan, Indigenous Kaz, Gijuwewe Damukwe, Indigo, Guabaga, Ganikagnan Junjaba, Mangan, and Dodame. My name is Peggy Flanagan. My Ojibwe name, or my spirit name, is Speaks with a Clear and Loud Voice Woman. I'm a member of the White Earth Nation, and my family is the Wolf Clan. And we're so grateful. My heart is overflowing right now, and I'm honored to be here today to celebrate these incredible leaders, all that they have accomplished to get here, and all of that they will accomplish together on behalf of the city of St. Paul, but really for all of us. A city council's inauguration is exciting, as is, but to have an all-woman city council all under the age of 40, and the majority of whom are women of color, leaves me, which is hard to do, nearly speechless. And while this is historic, it should also simply be the way it is, the norm. The reality. It is my daughter's reality to see an all-woman group of leaders. It is my daughter's reality to see herself reflected in government. It is my daughter's reality that a group of really smart and talented, dedicated women can get elected to lead their community. So I am honored and grateful that I get to go home tonight and I get to tell Siobhan that in St. Paul, the city council is led by all women. And I hope she thinks, well, why wouldn't it be? Because even though these systems were not built for women, especially women of color, we are making our voices heard every single day. We are leaders. As the youngest and most progressive and most diverse city council in St. Paul's history, I am excited to see what this city council is able to accomplish with women of color leading the way. This historic swearing in and this historic election celebrates what can happen when we engage our constituents. This matters. Representation matters, and don't let anyone tell you differently. We've come a long way since the beginning of the city council, about 170 years ago, when it was all men. Shocking, but not shocking. Throughout my career, I've heard so many people tell me, quote, "You have to earn your stripes first." Sound familiar? But for many women, it's the women who came before us, our aunties, our mothers, our grandmothers, who earned those stripes for us, who brought us that chair at that table so that we could join it now and right away, and we don't simply have to wait to be invited. We get to sit down immediately. We get to sit at these tables and we get to be the people who make decisions because of their sacrifices. And we don't have to wait our turn. Our turn is now. But at the same time, we often need to see people who look like us in positions of power before we can dream big. And here's what I know. I know that women have been leading since time immemorial. It's just the rest of society that is catching up to us. So to this council, to these leaders, thank you for being change makers. Thank you for being the road pavers. Thank you for being the first. I know the heaviness of being a first. I know that it feels like the world is resting on your shoulders and your shoulders alone, but there are so many people who are going to help you carry that load that you haven't even met yet. So we are so grateful for you. By sitting in these chairs today, you are inspiring more girls that you can even imagine who are going to be able to dream big and achieve their dreams because of the risk that you were willing to take to step in to say, I'm ready. I know that jobs in public service aren't easy or glamorous, although your new city council president makes it look pretty glamorous. She literally sent me a video on how to do winged liner. I'm not kidding. But it's important and beyond worth it. You have an opportunity to make real impact, and you already have. Standing up here, I am reminded of the infamous quote from Ruth Bader Ginsburg when she was asked when there will be enough women on the Supreme Court. And she said, when there are 9. And when is it enough for St. Paul? When there are 7. Gitche miigwech, we are all so proud of you. I am grateful for all of you and for the sacrifices you have already made and the sacrifices you will continue to make. You might be the first, but you are certainly won't be the last. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be in St. Paul here today to celebrate with all of you. Get it.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. It is an honor to stand before you all today, to bear witness to such a watershed moment in St. Paul's history. I'm excited to be joined by so many pioneers, local leaders, and local celebrities to celebrate this occasion. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, former Mayor Jim Scheibel, I see our former Council President, Amy Brimmoen, and departing members of the City Council. Please give them a round of applause. Please stand. All of our members of our state delegation. I see County Board Chair Martinson here, and I saw County Board Chair Martinson here, and our county elected officials. Thank you all for being here as well. Our school leaders and all of the community leaders who have come into this space today. We also have a number of dedicated city staff joining us today. I got a chance to walk over with the members of my mayor's office and cabinet. Would you all wave your hands so we can give you a round of applause? And I know I speak on behalf of every member of my cabinet. I share with people sometimes that if you ever see me in a room with other city employees, you can rest assured I have the easiest job in the room. And so would all of the St. Paul City employees who are present, please raise your hand and please give them an enormous round of applause. And I must say, as we stand in this space and celebrate a legacy of incredible woman leadership, that I am blessed to be led every day by a remarkable woman who I get the chance to call my best friend, my life partner, and my wife. That's Dr. Sakina Futrell Carter. Thank you. We're excited to be able to be in this space. We're excited for the work that we are leading together as a city right now, and we're excited to mark the next chapter in this work. As I acknowledge our city staff, it's those over 3,000 colleagues on Team St. Paul who work together to drive our momentum of progress. And your commitment to public service is the cornerstone of our city's success. It is because of all those city employees that we can brag about having nationally recognized parks, libraries, and water services. It's because of those city employees that we are leading groundbreaking initiatives to combat climate change and are embedding 21st century community-first policing practices to build a safer community. And it is because of all of you working together that we are experiencing one of the most prolific expansions of housing and commercial construction in our city's history. Together, we have installed a forward-thinking approach to governance in every aspect of our work, moving us ever closer to fulfilling our vision of a St. Paul that works for everyone. 16 years ago, I got a chance to sit in these chairs and be sworn in as a city council member for the first time. At 28 years old, I was the young one. I was the only person of color. And I sat next to my colleague who's become a great friend of mine, former Council President Kathy Lantry, who at the time was the only woman on our St. Paul City Council. My, how things have changed. As public servants, we bear a profound responsibility to expand the set of decision makers to ensure the city we build is one we build together. Each voice a vital thread woven into the vibrant fabric of our community. It's that close collaboration with our community that brought us an array of initiatives that challenge the conventional wisdom of how city government can be relevant in people's lives. We've raised the minimum wage. We've changed our police use of force rules. We've started college savings accounts for every child born in our cities and made our libraries fine-free. We're at the center of a nationwide conversation on how guaranteed income can help raise the floor for our most vulnerable families. And we launched the Inheritance Fund, putting descendants of Old Rondo on the path to home ownership. And we recently passed our Medical Debt Reset Initiative to leverage $1 million in American Rescue Plan funds to eliminate over $100 million of medical debt for St. Paul families. As we reflect on the past and look to the future, it is imperative to acknowledge the women who have led boldly in our city council chambers, including 2 former council presidents, Amy Brinmoen and Kathy Lantry, who were the only woman who both served as the only women serving on our city council just a decade ago. Their legacy inspires us to continue striving for inclusivity and representation in all facets of governance, ensuring our leadership reflects the diversity and the wisdom of our neighborhoods. Today, we embark on a new chapter together, one that requires collaboration, compassion, and a promise to preserve and improve the well-being of every single resident. The challenges we face are significant, but so too are the opportunities to effect positive change. I have full confidence in our new City Council's capabilities and their shared dedication to serving in the best interests of our city's residents, children, businesses, and families. Together, we will foster unity and work tirelessly toward a future where every individual has the opportunity to thrive to her fullest potential. Thank you all for your continued support, and may we move forward hand in hand, committed to building a stronger, more equitable St. Paul for generations to come. Our next guest of honor is Maggie Lawrence, who is the Executive Director of the Wakan TP Hawaiian Copy nonprofit and Director of the Wakan TP Center. Maggie is Dakota and Anishinaabe, an enrolled member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe, and descends from the Spirit Lake Dakota Nation. Please join in reflection as she recites this evening's land acknowledgement.
Good afternoon, my relatives. My name, as Mayor Carter mentioned, is Maggie Lorenz. I am from Turtle Mountain and Spirit Lake Nations in North Dakota, but I was born and raised here in Minneapolis-St, or St. Paul. I'm really honored to have been asked to come up here and give this land acknowledgement today as we mark this historic occasion, and it's amazing and beautiful to look over and see some women that I am honored to call my friends on this stage, and others who I know will become friends in the years to come. Most of the following remarks for this land acknowledgement were taken from my Shicheshi Chante Maza and his wife Monica McKay's article entitled Where We Stand, the University of Minnesota and Dakota Treaty Land. This was published in Open Rivers magazine by the University of Minnesota in their fall 2020 edition, and it has been edited for length and relevance to the city of St. Paul, but I think it's okay because he's my cousin, and I told him I was going to be doing this. Land acknowledgements are an increasingly frequent practice and provide a much needed call to attention to the Indigenous history of the places where we stand. Despite centuries-long and ongoing erasure of Indigenous peoples from American history textbooks and classrooms, and the chronic relegation of Indigenous peoples to the past in mainstream societal consciousness, it remains a fact that every inch of what we now know as the United States is land which one or more Indigenous nations has a deep and abiding connection. Land acknowledgements typically identify whose homelands the speaker and listeners are situated on, and here in the city of St. Paul, we are undeniably on the homelands of the Dakota Oyate, the only Indigenous nation with a creation story that takes place right here in Minneapolis-St, at a site known as Badote, soon to be home to the River Learning Center. But land acknowledgements can also be problematic, because they can easily be interpreted as meaning that Dakota people used to live here, that we have a primarily spiritual connection as opposed to a real, tangible, and legal connection to this land. Worse yet, land acknowledgements can actually do harm to Indigenous peoples who are frequently asked by schools, churches, professional associations, and others to give land acknowledgements, And for an Indigenous person to get up and say, we are on Dakota land, but there's no reciprocity from the institution can be insulting at best and bring up old wounds and betrayals that still live in our blood memory. To actually contribute to the restorative justice for Indigenous people, land acknowledgements must also address the legal status on the land in question, which entails knowing our treaty history. Everyone in this room is a treaty person. Treaties matter not just to Indigenous people, but to everybody who resides in the United States. To actually contribute to restorative justice for Indigenous peoples, land acknowledgements have to address this history, and treaties are generally viewed as agreements that just document real estate transactions, where Indigenous people sold land to the United States government in exchange for money or other considerations. And while this is not a perfect description, it can be a useful analogy. So if we consider for a moment that I decided to make a purchase from the city of St. Paul for a parcel of land, agreeing to pay a specific price for that land, I moved onto that property and decided I was never going to pay for it. I was never going to pay any taxes or follow any of the city's guidelines for how property owners are required to manage that land. Would I have any legal right to that property? What would you call what I had done? Would it be called theft, illegal, criminal? And what if I had willed that property to my children and their children? Would it be okay because it's been a really long time? So when people accurately state that the city of St. Paul was built on land that was stolen from Dakota people, we're not being dramatic or trying to be problematic, but in reality, the US government failed to uphold its treaty obligations. Every single treaty it signed with Indigenous peoples and nations has been broken. And here in the city of St. Paul, we are in 1805 treaty land, which 1805 might seem like a long time ago in such a fast-moving culture as America, but for Dakota people, 1805 was yesterday. And it was just yesterday that Zebulon Pike brokered an arrangement with 2 Dakota villages to establish a military base at Fort Snelling. The legality of this treaty has been disputed and deemed invalid ever since the ink was almost dry. And in fact, Lawrence Taliaferro, the Indian agent at Fort Snelling for nearly 20 years, noted in his journals that he viewed the Dakota Convention with Pike as nothing more than a lease of land that was still taken or being occupied, but still deemed to be Indian country. In 1858, the Military Affairs Committee of the US Senate issued a report that stated that though it does appear that General Pike made an arrangement in 1805 with 2 Dakota people for the purchase of this land, there was no evidence that the agreement, to which there was not even a witness, was ever considered binding upon the Dakota, or that it ever yielded up the possession of those lands to the United States. It was never proclaimed by Congress. It cannot be found in the statute books like other treaties, if indeed a treaty it may be called, and its stipulations were never complied with on the part of the United States. That's the land that we are on right now in the city of St. Paul. So we have to come back to this pressing question. Now that we know this information, what do we do with it? Knowing the truth of how our city fits into the history of the dispossession of Dakota people and how all non-Dakota residents benefited and currently and continue to benefit from the theft of Dakota land should obligate us to take reparative action. Because despite the best efforts of the state of Minnesota to ethnically cleanse us from within its borders after the 1862 war, Dakota people have always been and remain here. Although often erased from public discourse, unseen, we are still at home and often homeless in our own homelands. And yet we still know our history and we have not and will not ever forget the treaties. At the heart of the city of St. Paul is the Mississippi River, the lifeblood that we all depend on. And from a Dakota perspective, the river is a relative, a sovereign entity, as is the land itself. Dakota people understand that we must coexist with other life. Human beings are not the most important beings on earth. Our worldview tells us that we are no greater or no less than any other living being that we share this land with. The Dakota philosophy of mitakuye oyasi, all my relatives, reflects this understanding that the river, the purple coneflower, the rusty patch bumblebee, the cottonwood, and the sandstone bluffs are all their own nations with their own gifts to offer, and they have the same rights that we have. Our relationship to the land is not about ownership, but rather about belonging and stewardship. And for all of these reasons, it is critically important for entities like the City of St. Paul, who choose to engage in these powerful land acknowledgements, to take restorative justice actions, to approach Dakota communities as sovereign nations as we do this work together. So as we are gathered here today to witness this historic moment and celebrate the accomplishments of these powerful Wia Itacha women leaders, I invite our new council to deeply consider what it means that the city of St. Paul is situated on sacred and stolen Dakota land that still legally belongs to the Dakota Oyate, and consider what more history you women can make together.
Thank you, Maggie, for those important words. I don't think much more can be said by way of preamble to the task ahead of us. Our next guest of honor is Muna Abdullahi. She is a first-generation Somali American, Black and Muslim international spoken word poet based in Minneapolis. In 2018, Muna ranked 8th in the Women of the World Poetry Slam competition and is a 3-time Minnesota Grand Slam poetry champion. She's performed in over 30 states and many countries across the globe. Her work has been published both nationally and internationally, including with the Poetry Foundation, African Poetry Journal, Button Poetry, Harvard Advocate, and the Somali History Museum. Throughout her work, Muna explores themes of belonging and identity, telling the stories that are erased, silenced, devalued, or buried, the stories that are difficult, and the stories that bring together communities, youth, and discussions. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome Muna to the stage.
To be a woman in a space that wasn't built for you is to be more familiar with the sounds of being spoken over than the sounds of your own voice. I think that I just want to. That's a great point. I just want. It is to know how to hold air at the tips of your fingers and bend its way just to form pockets of space for you to exist in. To be a woman in a space that wasn't built for you is to always, always be 10 steps ahead, but be made to feel like you're always 11 steps behind. It's to know a space before you've even entered. Its corners and the way the room hangs and how much of it carries, how much of you it carries. You see, I have calculated 1,236 possible scenarios and solutions before I even came into this room. But you're forced to ask the questions. Have I reached them? Am I dressed right? Have I reached them? Is my English good? Was my vocabulary proper enough? Am I dressed right? Was I too loud? Did I sound aggressive? Was I too slow? Did I speak too fast? Did I reach them? Did I speak too fast? Was I aggressive? Am I dressed right? Did I speak too fast? Did I smile? Did I smile? Did I smile? Oh God, please don't make me look like and especially not a, please not a. Did I reach them? Did I reach them? Did they listen? Did they listen? Did they really listen? To be a woman in a space that was not built for you is to know how to fold yourself into a million perfect pieces, hoping you fit, hoping somehow you just fit. Where you folded yourself so much to be palatable, you forgot how to recognize yourself unfolded. How you look. The borders of your face that resemble your mother's, and her mother's, and her mother's, and her sharp tongue, your voice, your voice, your voice, your voice. Because when you walked on an unpaved path, all you see is your differences. Because who looks like me, speaks like me, comes from where I come from, and has the dreams that I have, all I see is anything but me. So you see, along the way, proving you're self-worthy in a space that wasn't built for you felt like leaving the parts of you behind at the front door. You forgot. You forgot why you were here in the first place. And so you realized you were never meant to fit. The sole of your feet were never meant to follow their foots, but to touch skirts and watch a garden rise at our footsteps. To pave a new path where you can speak a lioness roar for you and your communities and the generations after. You see, representation has never been a destination. It's always been the road. Because the truth is, the work and grind and qualifications has never changed. Matter of fact, we overqualified. Just where the spotlight shines. And who gets to speak? Who takes up space? Because all my life, we've been fighting for just a seat at the table. Told to say please and thank you for the crumbs of our voices. And yet, today, Today we are the whole table. Come on. May the dirt grasp at your souls. May it be everlasting. Because the truth is, to be a woman in a space that was not built for you is to know how to build space with your bare hands, to demand the attention of any room they step into, and to speak a lioness roar. It is to be a walking figure of change, of growth, to know how to rise and rise again and rise again and rise again and again and again and again. You see, the only thing I have left to say is for future references. Do not interrupt us. Because they are just getting started.
Thank you, Muna. One more round of applause, please. You know, someone tweeted at me a couple of months ago after Election Day. They tweeted at me, it's great to see all these women city council members elected. Hopefully pretty soon we'll see a woman mayor. And I think they may not have meant it as a compliment towards me. But as I sit looking at this stage, as I sit experiencing this community gathering and celebration, and certainly as I listened to Muna's words, it strikes me that we probably won't have to wait too long. And with that, I am excited to introduce our next speaker. Someone who has been a fantastic partner in our work in the mayor's office, and someone who will no doubt be an incredible leader as she serves as our next city council president. When Council Member Mitra Jalali burst onto the City Hall scene, we all noticed. Because of her electrifying personality, because of her bright pink clothing, and because of maybe the lightning bolts, both metaphoric and quite literal, that she carries with her everywhere she went. When Councilmember Jalali showed up at City Hall, it struck me that this is a different experience than we're used to. And that is one of my favorite things about the council member, because we are used to poverty. We're used to hunger. We're used to people who have no place to sleep when it's cold outside. We're used to injustice, and we are used to inequality on almost every front. One of the challenges that we will face together is the desire to make improvements, balancing that with the discomfort that change inevitably brings. As I think about the historic moment that this is, as I think about the history that you've all made, that we've all made through this past election cycle, I cannot help but think with excitement about the future that we'll create together as well. Ladies and gentlemen, your next City Council President, Mitra Jalali.
Thank you. There's a poem running through my mind this week by Fez Ahmed. Fez, it's called Speak, and it ends, speak whatever must be said. And I can't stop thinking about that. So that's my preface for the next several minutes. I hope you're excited. Welcome to the 2024 St. Paul City Council inauguration ceremony. Do you like it so far? I'm Mitra Jalali. I need to say this out loud. I'm the incoming council president of the St. Paul City Council. I want to first thank our Mayor Melvin Carter for his partnership and his leadership of our city and the city we all love. In the 5 years that I've served alongside you, you've been a steadfast force for good in some of the toughest times in history. I deeply value your commitment to our community and your vision for equity in our capital city. You make us proud. Thank you. I want to thank our many local and state elected officials who've joined us here today. You're our partners in this fight. Public service is as challenging as it is rewarding. And each of you have taken an oath of office to ensure that government delivers for our residents at every level. On behalf of our entire community, thank you for your tireless leadership for St. Paul. Could we have a round of applause for all of our elected officials here today? Additionally, I want to thank our Congresswoman Betty McCollum. She is here with us in spirit today, but is in Washington, D.C., serving our community through an extremely painful international moment in history. She carries our city's voices, values of peace and human rights to Washington. I want to thank her for joining Congressman Pocan and Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez in a letter that they led, calling on the President and the Biden administration to establish a ceasefire in Gaza. The scale of suffering we're seeing in Gaza can't be normalized, and all of us feel it here. And we know all of our communities are safer when we know peace internationally, so thank you, Congresswoman. Today is a day I invite you to remember change begins at home. This council should give everyone a reason to hope. We're here today to take the oath of office and welcome our council leaders to the next 4 years of working with and for our community, and it's my distinct honor to speak to this moment. If you don't know me yet, I'm Mitra June Jalali. I'm the first child and daughter of Suki and Hossein Jalali. My father was born in Tehran, Iran. Like many Iranian Americans, he escaped his home country in 1979, fleeing social and political upheaval. He immigrated to Minnesota at 16. He graduated from Rochester High School. He spoke a language that everyone else here spoke in common as an English language learner. It's called soccer. My mother was born in South Korea. She grew up in an orphanage in Seoul. She navigated multiple foster systems before arriving in Owatonna, Minnesota as a teenager in the 80s, stopping AAPI hate before we had a name for it, fighting off bullies on the school bus. She went to Rochester Technical Community College, met my dad at an international student mixer. His friend was the president of the club, and he asked to be seated next to her so he could have the chance to talk to her. And life comes at you fast. After college, Suki and Hossein moved to the Twin Cities. They built a small business together. They had me while students at the U of M, and my memories growing up are of living in student housing in Como, playing on the playground in Cedar Riverside, going to Korean restaurants in the Midway, where I now live and represent. I'm a Twin Cities baby to the core. I'm a lifelong Minnesotan. I've been an organizer, a social studies teacher, a congressional policy aide, and I'm now so proud to join these leaders on stage as the incoming council president. This is my Korea Persia Sotin family story. I know the lifelong experience of being asked, what are you? Where are you from? Here. I'm from here. And I'm Mitra. I love you, Mom and Bubba. Thank you for giving me the opportunities in life that led me to this stage. Today, we lift up history St. Paul residents made with their votes. For the first time in U.S. history, a majority American city of our size has elected a council, a city council of all women, and a supermajority of women of color. And in an era where our reproductive rights are under attack, where trans and queer children have been persecuted in our public schools, where racial disparities persist across our country, this new class of leaders sends a clear message from St. Paul voters, I believe, to the whole world. We trust the leadership of these women. We believe in their personal and professional experiences and vision, philanthropic and policy leaders, executive directors of nonprofits, an engineer. Wow. St. Paul's teaching everybody what leadership looks like. And this election has been noticed across the country. And you, the voters of St. Paul, deserve the credit. This is your city council. I have to take a minute to say, if you read my Twitter replies lately, the responses sure are something. They're fighting for their lives in there. Let's just say, a whole lot of people who were comfortable with majority male, majority white institutions for nearly 170 years of city history are suddenly sharply concerned about representation. My thoughts and prayers are with them in this challenging time. St. Paul is a city that values not just diversity, but the necessary work to make inclusion, equity, and justice real for everybody. We're a city that believes in strong community services, from our parks and rec centers and libraries, to building inspectors, technical staff who help our local businesses, the streets that you drove on to get here, the police, fire, and mental health responders who help those in need. We're a city you can feel like you're home, even if you've felt out of place anywhere else. Our mayor likes to say a city isn't a collection of buildings, but a collection of people, and I know that's true. St. Paul is a community of over 300,000 people, from dozens of countries who speak over 100 different languages in our public schools. We're a community where the median age of a resident is 32.5. The majority of our community rents their home, not owns it. And a third of households across ownership or renting are housing cost burdened, and more than 30% of their income just goes toward affording their home. The city of St. Paul is also an institution. It's an enterprise of over $825 million a year, thousands of hardworking public employees. They do everything from reviewing job applications to patching our potholes. They pursue justice for discrimination complaints in housing. They cut down tall grass. They provide safe and affirming programs in our libraries and rec centers and respond to residents, sometimes in their most painful moments in their entire life. We even have a new baby giraffe. And I would love it if our zoo could also get a red panda. No judgment and brainstorm. Just some ideas while I'm up here, while I have this stage, making it work. This is what bully pulpit is, I love it. When we take the oath of office today, we're making a commitment to this community first and this institution second. We share the incredible privilege, honor, and responsibility of being chosen to address the challenges and opportunities in our future together. We know we were sent here to do important work, and we know what voters expect us to do. We know for everyone in our city to be safe and stably housed, we must embrace a comprehensive policy of housing that includes rent stabilization, renter protections, increased public investment in housing and housing affordability, a strategy to preserve the affordable housing that we already have, and continued reform of our zoning and land use laws to make it easier to build new homes at all income levels, also supporting pathways to homeownership and eliminating barriers to residents owning their home. This winter hasn't really felt like one. Snow finally arrived on the last day of 2023, and that's how we know the climate crisis is real. We have to step up to its challenges and urgently build a more sustainable city. Since 2018, thanks to Mayor Carter's leadership and council partnership, we've built nearly 28 new miles of safer bike routes connecting our city, helping people replace car trips with emission-free travel modes. We've launched the Community Electric Vehicle Car Share Program, EV. We've worked with Ramsey County on major road redesign projects and narrowed our roads for safer travel. We've embraced policies like entirely eliminating parking minimums to make way for more modes like transit, and this council will take up that mantle and ensure our work continues for a more sustainable St. Paul. We will make sure we have a robust array of urban canopy as a strategy against urban heat island. Thank you. We know that for all to prosper in our city, we need to ensure they have an array of job options, necessary worker protections, and that our community has the chance at local ownership. The City Council looks forward to championing our local small businesses that make St. Paul the special place it is, strengthening worker protections, both for our city employees and the thousands of people who work in St. Paul, and expanding local ownership so wealth produced in our community stays in our community. It's also essential every single person feels and is safe in our city, no matter who you are or where you live. Under the leadership of Mayor Carter and with our council partnership, we've expanded our community safety system in St. Paul to include an Office of Neighborhood Safety, community violence interruption programs, reforms to the police use of force policy, a compassionate and effective response to homelessness, and so much more. Investing all in a community safety model that says, when people are cared for, our city and everyone in it are safer. This council looks forward to pushing that work even further, and everyone in our city deserves to live a safe and fulfilling life. You may have heard a lot this past election about basic city services. Some people oppose this forward-facing vision and argue the city shouldn't focus on things like eliminating people's medical debt, or providing a guaranteed income to people, or raising their wages, or regulating their rents, or anything related to equity. It should only focus on basic city services. On November 5, 2023, the Pioneer Press published my op-ed in response to the strange idea that working toward a more equitable city is somehow at odds with providing basic services. It was titled, "Essential City Services Are the Vehicle to Deliver on Our Bold Vision for St. Paul." This is a huge upgrade for me. My first ever op-ed was in 2019 about supporting organized trash collection, which is an essential city service, by the way. I'm so glad that we have it in St. Paul. We're here because our work at City Hall is not only to ensure amazing city services. This historic council was sent to do historic work, to play our part in rectifying the past wrongs that still impact our community. We must support efforts like the Walk on TP Center, and like Maggie spoke so powerfully to, an authentic relationship with the Dakota people, from returning stolen land to uplifting other tribal needs. We must rectify the wrongs done to the Rondo community when the highway was built through their neighborhood, destroying Black businesses, homes, and generational wealth. We must learn the history of the West Side, Riverside flooding, displacement that countless community members endured, and uplift efforts like the Latino History Museum project that restore a cultural and community home. Our Hmong community is here because of U.S. wars that displaced them, and they've built a new home in our city with a strength that reached the very Olympics, and a statue in Phelan for our own Olympian, Suni Lee. Our East African neighbors from Somalia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia have overcome unthinkable hardship to relocate here, and now they help weave the very fabric of our community together, from the Little Africa Business District in my ward to mosques and churches all around the city. From across all continents, we join hands here in St. Paul. And St. Paul spoke clearly in this election, we will not ignore our responsibility to each other. Is that right? Minnesota elected the most diverse and progressive legislature in state history in 2022 on this premise. Our St. Paul reps helped deliver record investments in our communities. They passed life-changing legislation for police accountability, abortion access, trans and queer rights, marijuana legalization, climate action, voting rights, and so much more. Because after a global pandemic and a racial reckoning, they knew every vote for them was a call for real change. That is what it looks like to serve all of Minnesota. That's what we know our voters support. And local government is not an exception to this work. It's an extension. It's the foundation. We are in place for such a time as this. This inauguration is not a story of individual sheroes. It's of collective movement for our city's future. And this representation is not the end point of our work. It is the beginning. I'll close by saying this. This last week at City Hall, having all 7 of us in our offices getting ready, it has felt a little bit like the Barbie movie. It sounded like this. Hi, Councilwoman. Hi, Councilwoman. Hi, Councilwoman. Hi, Councilwoman. I enjoy that because the election even had a Mojo Dojo Casa House. There was so much going on. But I was thinking about what it means for women, our experiences in public leadership and how we're treated, and how it doesn't feel good to be treated like a Barbie. It doesn't feel good for people to say, I put these words in your mouth. I take out my rage on you as if you're not a person. I twist your limbs until they snap. We are embodied. We are elected. We are our community's St. Paul City Council. To Anika, Rebecca, Sarah, Wajang, Nelsie, and Shaniqua, I'm so proud of and honored to serve alongside each of you. Thank you for answering the call to serve. So St. Paul, in order to succeed these next 4 years, when we walk into City Hall, I need all of you here to walk into City Hall with us. If you're coming to City Hall with us, could you please make some noise? Thank you. With that, it's time to get sworn in. Before I invite our city clerk, Sherry Moore, on stage to lead us in the oaths of office, we'd like to do a quick stage transition, and what I would like to ask is for my colleagues to stand up and move to the back left side, please. As they're doing that, I'm going to invite on stage Sherry Moore, who's been with the City of St. Paul for 36 years and has served as our city clerk since 2006. I'm so honored, Sherry, to have your continued support, guidance, and knowledge for the next 4 years. Please welcome Sherry Moore, and thank you, St. Paul, for this honor.
I'd like to welcome Council-elect Bowie forward and her guests onto the stage.
get a little closer? Can you get closer right here?
If you raised your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Anika Bowie,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and I will discharge faithfully
the duties devolving upon me
the duties devolved upon me
as a city council member
as a city council member
of the city of St. Paul
of the city of St. Paul
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, now I would like to welcome Councilmember Naker forward and her guests onto the stage. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Rebecca Naker,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties devolving upon me
the duties devolving upon me
as a city council member
as a city council member
of the city of St. Paul
of the city of St. Paul
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations. I'd like to welcome Councilmember-elect Jost forward, along with her guests onto the stage. If you raise your right hand and repeat after me, I state your name.
I, Sarah Jost,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I will discharge faithfully
the duties devolving upon me
the duties devolving upon me
as a city council member
as a city council member
of the city of St. Paul
of the city of St. Paul
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations. I'd like to welcome Council President-designate Jalali forward and her guests on stage.
Bijan, do we FaceTime Bijan?
Oh, wow. Nice. Yeah.
Is he on there? Let me see. Oh my God.
Can St. Paul say hi to my brother? Say hi, Bijan. Oh God. Okay. I've done this 3 times. Tell me what to do.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. Put your hand on. I state your name.
I, Mitra Jalali,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and I will discharge faithfully
the duties devolving upon
the
me
duties devolving upon me
as a city council member
as a city council member
of the city of St. Paul
of the city of St. Paul,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to welcome Councilmember-elect Kim forward and her guests onto the stage. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Hwa-Jung Kim,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States forward. And what are you using? Let's have you stand on that. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Nelsie Yang,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and that I would discharge faithfully
the duties devolving upon me
the duties devolving upon me
as a city council member
as a city council member
of the city of St. Paul
of the city of St. Paul,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
Congratulations. And I welcome Councilmember-elect Johnson and her guests onto the stage. Okay, come up. Oh. Raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Shaniqua Johnson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the constitutions
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and of the state of Minnesota,
and of the state of Minnesota,
and that I will discharge faithfully
and I will discharge faithfully
the duties devolving upon me
the duties devolving upon me
as a city council member
as a city council member
of the city of St. Paul,
of the city of St. Paul,
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and abilities.
Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2024 St. Paul City Council. Let's continue this celebration with a performance from one of our own, very own local dance troupes. Blazing Sapphire is one of many dance teams from the Dowline Dance School located in the Sunrise Market along University Avenue. Most recently, they traveled to Fresno, California, and competed against several teams at the Hmong Cultural New Year celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for Blazing Sapphire. We were back there talking about how we are going to be working just as synchronized as that as we work together. Give her one more round of applause for Blazing Sapphire. I never cease to be amazed by the spirit that exists in this city, by the richness that exists in this city, by the diversity and all of the incredible talent that exists in this city. Council President Jalali asked you who will be going into City Hall with this city council. And nearly I had my staff write down all of you who applauded, who made noise for that, because we'll be taking attendance. We'll expect to see you. But that presence isn't symbolic. That presence isn't just for entertainment. That presence is because our city is so much better, is so much richer, is so much stronger when all of our voices get to be heard at the table. And please remember every day that that includes you. It's my honor to introduce our final speaker for the evening. She is a champion of affordable housing and sustainable transportation work. She's a champion for our downtown and for equitable housing outcomes for every individual in our community. And I can tell you personally, she is someone who literally never stops thinking about how to make this city stronger, how to make this city safer, how to make this city even more promising for every young child in our community and every one of their families. She ran for her first term before she was even 30, and throughout her time has shown deep commitment to the success and prosperity of our city. Returning for her third term, please join me in welcoming Councilmember Rebecca Naker to the stage.
Wow. Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor to be a partner with you in leading our great city. Thank you to everyone who has made this event so special. Our talented performers, our sponsors, the elected officials and special guests, and all of you, most importantly, for taking time to come. This wouldn't quite have been as much fun with a completely empty hall, so thank you. In a moment, we will be concluding today's ceremony, and we will be inviting all of you to join us just outside these doors for a reception. But before we leave this place, I want you to have the vision that I've had this entire evening sitting here. I want you to take a moment to look around this room. Look at the people whom you know. Look at the people who you don't know yet. Look at the people you came with. Think about the people outside of this room, the people in your neighborhood, at your workplace, your school, the people you interact with every day. Because we've been talking a lot about the people on this stage, but this community is what this is all about. We are so lucky to live in this time and place and in this city and in community with one another. And we are so lucky to be in this moment together. What this inauguration means to me, what this past election means to me, is that we've given people a reason to hope. We have given people this precious opportunity and ourselves this moment to really change things. We have an opportunity to see one another, to listen to one another, to see and feel each other's pain, to hear each other's stories, to use our identities not to build walls, but to build bridges. We have the chance to show through our actions, not just our words, what we all believe, that government can be a force for good in people's lives. that when we say government by, for, and of the people, that's not just a grade school dream. That is a promise to live up to. When systems are broken, we can and have to change them. Where there's distrust, we can build connection. Where there's apathy, we can seed hope. We don't need to be bound to the past. We do need to be bound to one another. That's what this moment is all about. That's what St. Paul is all about. And it will take all of us. I want to close with two pieces of advice to my colleagues, since I am, after all, your elder stateswoman. First, there's a beautiful story in my Jewish tradition that I want to share about the creation of the world. And it's not the one you've heard before. The story goes that because God is everywhere, God takes up all the space. So in order for God to create a world, God has to sort of contract, pull out of that space to leave room for the world. So at the moment of creation, God did that. God contracted God's self into these divine vessels, and all of the divine light went into those vessels so as to make space. But somehow, due to some accident, in the moment of creation, those vessels shattered. And the sparks of divine light that were in them were stuck in those shards and scattered all over the world. And they're still in the world all around us. And our job as human beings, according to this story, is to find those divine sparks wherever they are and to gather them back together. Doing so is what we call tikkun olam, or healing the world. I love this story because it sees a little bit of good in everything. Every person, every place, every problem contains a little spark of divine light if we just know how to look for it. Some days, I will tell you, after 8 years, it can be a little bit easier to see that spark than others. But I have found that keeping that image of sparks in my mind can make even the hardest days more meaningful. And a final piece of advice. On your bad days and your good ones, keep in mind the oath that we just took, tongue twister though it is, to discharge faithfully the duties devolving upon us. That word devolving always kind of stuck in my ear. It's a strange word. We think of it as negative, like devolving into chaos, but it literally means rolling down, like streams pouring down a mountain. It reminds us that we're links in a chain, that our duties have been passed down to us from those who've come before, and that we are only here because of the energy, the time, and the love of others. That knowledge shouldn't make us feel frozen in time, beholden to the way things were, just the opposite. We have an obligation to keep that momentum going, to take the progress that has been passed to us and keep rolling with enough energy and vision that we will one day be able to pass on that momentum to others. But we can never forget that we're part of something much greater than ourselves. So, as we move on from this place, roll up our sleeves and get to work, which I know we are all very eager to do, let us remember that while we may be a first, we are not the beginning, and we are not the ending. Rather, we, and this great city we have the privilege to serve, are always and ever becoming. Thank you. And now, please join us for the reception. Thank you all so much.